In the past, I've animated water and fire in 10 hours a pop, and 10 seconds, and so on. So I want to continue the trend by animating wind, or air, or a tornado in 10 seconds, then 1 minute, then 10 minutes, then an hour, and lastly 10 hours. I genuinely don't know if I can pull this off, but let's find out. So my thinking for 10 seconds is I draw a tornado by doing a little scribble. It's basically just scribble, kind of following the triangle shape. And then I do probably 3 frames of that, and hopefully it looks like it's moving around. And my 10 seconds starts now. Okay, that's good enough. Forgot to turn onion skin on, but I don't need it. 4 frames? I almost did 5. Alrighty, well I'll remove that blank frame. Let's see what we've got here. Okay. It's a destructive tornado, if I've ever seen one. Good luck surviving that. That was about what I expected. Not the most impressive 10-second animation I've done, but I don't think I can do much better than that. Alright, let's do 1 minute. Alright, I'm gonna go for a more interesting shape this time. Maybe make it out of like rings. Kind of just have it move around again. Yeah, that's basically it. Okay, 1 minute starting now. Okay, gonna do some of this. Sure. I'll have the tail kind of be over here. I don't know if this is gonna look like tornado-y at all. Okay, that frame seems more like the shape I should have. I gotta really like study the movement of tornadoes after this. 10 seconds. Maybe I should have it move towards the camera. Wait, no, it's got a loop. 2 seconds? Okay. Alright, that's a great last frame. Let's see the damage. Okay. I think that's an upgrade. Kinda jots to the left really suddenly at one point, but doesn't look too bad. It kinda looks like it's swirling around. I think it's a little better than I expected. Still nothing to write home about, but let's see what I can do with 10 minutes. So I'm gonna involve a cloud this time, because normally that seems to happen with tornadoes. I'm gonna base it on this animated tornado in a TED Talk. So we're actually gonna have a solid shape this time. Also, I'll try to do a background if I have time. It's not really necessary, but we'll see. 10 minutes, go. All right, first I'm gonna do the cloud. So that's gonna be the base shape. And then my strat is to draw some circles, represent the bumps. They're gonna move along. You'll see what I'm doing in a sec. Okay, now we've got a loop of circles that should look okay. Now I animate an actual cloud spinning based on that. So yeah, I just kind of go over the bumps. And those are gonna move along to make it look like the whole cloud is moving. And then I just have a nice base. I should really be filling this in as I go. Now I draw the actual tornado, which is just gonna be some kind of little triangle. Hopefully this looks somewhat decent. I'll duplicate that. Now I wanna draw some like spinny, just lines going around it. Okay, hopefully that looks good. I'll do some dark patches, I guess. Just do some like splotches that move around. I don't know if this is gonna loop, but that's okay. Okay, I can just do that. Okay, that probably looks fine. All right, we've still got over 5 minutes left. Do more detail in the clouds. I think this is making it worse. Okay, I'll just do like an overall shadow. Kind of redraw that in a different spot. Then it'll look like it's jiggling enough. Okay, what do I do? I'll do some more little spinny bits. That might look nice. Call it debris. Okay, we've got 3 minutes left. I think I can do a background after finishing this. Maybe I should have done something like at the bottom. Oh well, I'm just gonna lay down some grass and sky. Okay, solid green, maybe a little blue. I don't like that gradient. Is it too dark or too light? Okay, that'll do. 141. Maybe I can do one more layer of random stuff. Maybe I make it a little bit green? Or a little bit blue, I guess. Oh, you know what? I'll just make it gray. Just stuff being kicked up. Mostly air, dust, what have you. It'll look like a drill. I still have time to delete this if it looks trash. There's like no rhyme or reason to what I'm doing right now. Just Just hopefully it'll add to it. I'll do some light stuff as well. 18 seconds. Okay. I kind of changed the alpha, the opacity of that at the end, but I'll just stick with that. And here's the final product. I think I like that. I wish I changed the opacity of that white stuff at the bottom for every frame instead of 2 of them. Or I could have kept it white the whole time, but that doesn't matter too much. I think it looks pretty good. We're getting closer to the realm of what a tornado would really look like. At least a cartoon tornado. It's got a nice spin going. I'll call that a good attempt. I can see some improvements that can be made. So let's move on to 1 hour. I started by putting in a simple background, similar to the last one, but with an orange sunset. Also the same sort of spinning cloud again. This time I used more frames to make it smoother and went a bit more intentional on the shape. I made the funnel bend a little to the right and redrew it a bunch of times, having it rock back and forth. Then I made another layer of cloud and followed the same process as before to have one spinning in the front and one in the back for a 3D effect. I tried having the whole tornado move across the screen, but it didn't look good, so I left it in place and worked on some lighting on the clouds. I was a little lost on this part, but I just did a rim light at the bottom and a big shadow in the middle. Now it's time for those spinning lines. First some dark bits that I'll animate rotating around a couple of times. They should end up somewhere that loops nicely. Then the same thing with the lighter lines in different places to give it some variety. Foreshadowing on the funnel, I added this darker grey to the right and drew that frame by frame. Then I thought it would be cool to have some dust shooting up off the ground. I drew semi-random blobs changing shape with little pieces flying off the top, and made that a half-transparent light grey. In the last 10 minutes I worked on the background, sort of a desert landscape with a road. I added in some mountains and vivid, chunky clouds, before a bit of a blur and lighting to bring it home. So that's a solid step up from 10 minutes. A bit blocky and raggedy, but I don't think that's a problem. Maybe it's a little odd that it's standing in place, just spinning. I think that's the best you could hope for if you were staring a tornado in the face. But yes, this turned out pretty decent. I like the colors, it looks like a spinning big tornado. Let's move on to 10 hours. The 10 hours began once again with a background. I went with a hilly, mountainous meadow type situation, which doesn't seem like the kind of place tornadoes happen, but you can do whatever you want with animation. For the sky I wanted a yellowy orange into blue gradient. You can decide if it's dusk or dawn. For the tornado, I first drew the general shape and used a motion guide to move it along a path I laid out. I basically wanted it to come from the distance and hit the center before leaving out the right of the screen. The entire tornado animation is going to be a loop inside this thing that I'm moving along. So the first part is just drawing the funnel in different ways so it looks like it's twisting and moving around. Then I added shading in the front right. After adjusting the colors, I started making those spinning lines. This time there are a lot more of them, and they're just more refined. Still dark followed by light. I also added some divots within the shadow to help sell their form and spin. Now for some dust particles spraying from the ground. I had 4 circles moving up and dissipating in different positions, in a way that loops. Then I drew a scraggly cloud shape around each frame using the circles as a template. With that looking good, I adjusted the light and shadow on the tornado some more before moving on to the connecting clouds. This is the exact same thing as the 10-minute and 1-hour clouds, but hopefully just looking nicer each time. Now, at the very least, I wanted the house to get destroyed, so I drew lots of small pieces flying off matching the colours I had, and masked out chunks of the house for a few frames. I then had to make it look like that debris got sucked into the tornado. At a certain point in the animation, I added layers of house crumbs spinning around in the tornado in an abstract way. Once that looked okay, I thought I should make the trees sway in the wind and maybe a couple can fall over. I moved them around with skew and rotation, which isn't the best in general, but I think it was fine here. I also animated some bits of pine or leaves and sticks flying off the trees as the tornado passes by. Now we begin adding some general windiness to the scene. Here I'm drawing some blades of grass in the foreground with a short loop waving to the right. I can duplicate that a bunch of times and have them start at different points so it looks more natural. Then I made a big wind loop by animating 4 layers of various particles flying off the screen. The key components for the whole scene were pretty much solidified at this point, so it's time for some extra details. I added bumps around the edges of the tornado and more shading. Then worked on shading for the top cloud. I also added shading to the dust, put a delayed duplicate at the back and added some small particles. I thought a few flowers in the foreground would liven things up a bit, and I tweaked things here and there before going into Photoshop to redraw the background. Nothing much changes from what I had, but it's more painterly and nice to look at. I spent about 40 minutes on that so I could drop those elements into Adobe Animate and make any final adjustments. So that is my 10-hour animation of a tornado. It's not quite as epic or destructive as I thought it might be, but considering I never really tried to animate a tornado before this, I'm pretty pleased with how it turned out. The clouds at the top of the tornado look a bit weird to me. Those could be improved, but other than that, I don't have any real complaints about the rest of it. I would have liked to have more sort of objects flying around, maybe in the middle of the landscape, in the middle of the field, but that's okay. I did notice afterwards I forgot to put shadows under the flowers, even though I did that for the blades of grass. It's not really that noticeable. Yeah, I think it looks solid. Mission successful, I suppose. Thankfully, the trees and house and tornado blend kinda well with the background, despite the difference in complexity. I think I could have done a bit better with the shapes and colors and lighting of the funnel of the tornado itself. But the important thing is the sense of movement is there, and well, it looks like a tornado. So there you go. I have now animated fire, water, and wind in 10 hours each, and a bunch of other times each. I will of course animate Earth somehow, at some point, but until then, I hope you enjoyed this video. Maybe you learned something or had fun, read something to watch during lunch. But have a nice rest of your day, rest of your week, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.